Hi, it's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and I just got a new toy and I thought I would do a product review on this. This is by We Are Memory Keepers and it's the Square Punch Board. Now, I'm a real fan of many of the punch boards that We Are Memory Keepers has come out with over the years. I think I started with the envelope punch board and I did the pinwheel and the banners and all the other ones that are out there. So this one I wanted to have. Now, what does this do? It basically punches out squares. Why is this better than a square punch? Well, you need a whole lot of different sizes of square punches if you want different sizes of squares. Whereas this eliminates that because it is adjustable. It will make squares up to 4 inches by 3 inches. Basically not a square, it's a rectangle. Now how this works, it's very, very simple. On this axis, you have a series of numbers right up to 4 inches. And this slider has a little cutout in it so you can see the different increments, and they're in 1/8 of an inch. So if, for example, if I want to cut a square that is 3 inches, I just slide that over by 3 inches, then I move over to this axis and it's the same thing, and you just slide this to whatever size you would like. So 3 is in the indicator in both of these. Then I take my paper and very simply place it right bumped up against this axis, bumped up against this axis. There's also a gauge on the side that has measurements as well, so you can place it in different spots there. Once you've got the paper in, you simply punch, lift up your punch, and you have your square or rectangle. As simple as that. Now, you might wonder, well, why do you need so many different squares? Well, this is what I bought it for. I bought it because I like to do sometimes in my scrapbooks or in my mixed media mosaics. Mosaics made up of squares in different sizes that you fit together. For example, very quickly this morning with some scrap paper, I did this. Now this is not, I slapped this down very quickly, so yes, it's uneven, but that's me, that's not the machine that's doing that. But you can see there's quite a possibility here. The other thing is, I sometimes like to take my photographs and change them into mosaics as well. And I can do that with this punch. Again, don't mind the fact that some things are a little bit uneven. That's me, that's not the machine. The only problem I had, though, with this is that when you get to certain parts, or to a certain position on your picture, you might have a leftover strip or it hasn't cut quite evenly at the bottom. So you do have to have a pair of scissors handy to clip off some pieces that you don't really want. But with a little practice, I think this could work very effectively for this kind of thing. The size of the squares that you're dealing with, as I said, up to 4 by 3, but you can get 1 by 1 squares, 1-inch squares with this very easily, which is kind of nice because once you have this set up for 1-inch squares, you can just put your paper through and punch, 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 punch. Whereas if you're using a 1-inch square punch, you'd have to flip it over, put it in, punch, find another spot, punch, etc. And again, if that's all you wanted were 1-inch squares, then maybe just a hand punch would be fine for you. But if you want a variety of sizes, this machine gives that to you. Now, if you were to do ATC cards, and everybody's into ATC cards, that's really easy because ATC cards are 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. So you go along here, find 3.5 right there, find 2.5 down here, or it could be the other way around too. It doesn't really matter which way. There you have it, a perfect ATC card. So that saves having to put it through your paper trimmer. You can do this in one press, whereas in a paper trimmer, you would probably have to do a couple of cuts to get it this way. So that's an advantage as well. So the other thing that I got thinking about with this is the leftovers. So this first one, I'd cut out these various sizes of squares. And this is what I had left over after I did that. These pieces. Well, the mixed media person in me is thinking, how cool. These could be aligned as a background to something as well. So basically, your negative space can also be utilized. And of course, you can use your scrap paper in this as well. So overall, I think this is a nifty machine that I think I can get a fair amount of use out of. Price point, it is not cheap. This one in Canadian dollars is anywhere between $50 and $60 depending on where you buy it. In the States, it's cheaper, of course. I think it retails in the States for around $30. But nevertheless, I think it might be a worthwhile investment. Now, just speaking about the We Are Memory Keepers punch boards, just as an aside, I told you at the beginning of this video that I have quite a few of their punch boards, and I've always been very pleased with them. But lately, with the new punch boards that they've come out with, not including this one, I think they're scraping to the bottom of the barrel. There is another punch board that does tags. Quite frankly, I don't think you need a punch board to do tags. And it involves putting in a rectangle of paper, from what I could see on YouTube videos from CHA, or Creativation as they call it. It looked to me like all it did was you put the card in and you sliced off a corner and you sliced off another corner and you could probably slice off the length, and that was it, and it probably has a hole punch in it. I don't know if something like that justifies the price. If that was like 10 bucks, I'd say sure, cool. But I don't think they're 10 bucks. I would say minimum they're probably about 30 bucks. Now I'm just guessing, okay? I don't know that for sure. So really, out of all the punch boards, they also have a new punch board that does mini envelopes. If you're into mini envelopes, it might be worth the investment. But again, I don't see, not at the price point that these come at, I don't really see that as something that I'd really want to invest in. But maybe you would. So overall, I like this. I think it's going to work fine. I probably am not going to use it every day. But for things like mixed media and scrapbooking backgrounds, art journal page backgrounds, mosaics, that kind of thing, I think this will work quite well.